Hello, everybody, and welcome to Libromancy, a podcast about the magic of books. I'm Josh, and today I'm going to be talking about Fire Falling by Elise Kova. It's the second book in the Air Awakens series. So let's march to the magic of books. Now, we're going to try and start non-spoilery. Now, this book, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I struggled a little bit to get into the first part of this book. I really wanted to read it. I was really excited to read it, but I kind of got a little bit of that mood you get in where you just don't want to read, even though you want to read. So it took me a little bit to get through this book, but I'm not faulting the book. This is the second book. It was a pretty good second book. This one is definitely, well, and I think the first one is to a degree, but this one is a heavy character book because in a non-spoiler kind of way, the plot is very minor to this story, this particular story. So it was good. It was fun. I felt like her character work again is just crazy good. I'm sure that she is very good at writing a teenage girl, and sometimes I had to remind myself, Josh, these are not adults, they're almost adults, and they're teenage girls, and at least one of them is a teenage-ish girl, like a young adult maybe, and they are going to be a little bit drama-y sometimes, and that's okay. That's just not you. But it didn't really detract, but sometimes the way she thought about certain things was a little kind of repetitive. On the other hand, I will say that Elise Kova, this is the worst possible ending of a book that I have ever had. I hated it, and I hated it immensely. I'm glad that I'm reading it when book 3 is already out, so I could go right into it, because it's okay. Let me be truthful. It was not a bad ending. Like, the ending is good. The ending is just very mean, because it is a big cliffhanger ending. And it's a very bad, mean, bad, not good for the reader ending. It's a great ending, leaves you wanting more. It wants you to get right into the next book. That makes it works, right? But it's rough on the reader. So that's the ending. I'm not going to talk about it a little bit until we get to the end. I really enjoyed this book. I feel like a lot of the things are making sense consistently. There's maybe one thing, and I'm sure I'll get a little bit more into it, or I might have just missed it as I was reading it. But overall, good book, lots of fun, good characters, good relationships. So let's just get into it and talk about it. So first off, let's go through our characters here, and let's kind of try and get into the things that bothered me, and then we'll go to the things that didn't. Valhalla Jarl. She goes through so much of this book. Lots of ups and downs, and this is kind of a recurrent of the second book, but every time she's told anything, she's always like, well, I am owned by the crown. I have to do what you want. I am owned by the crown. And I'm like, I get it. You're owned by the crown, they put you in jail, and then they say you have to do this. But they're not putting you in a cage, and it's a different kind of cage, but you are not, you were owned by the crown before anyway. Your situation didn't really change. The crown could have come in at any time and been yep, murder her. She did something wrong, and they would do that. At least now you're a little bit more visible. You're a little bit more aware. But please stop thinking over and over again, I'm in a cage. I am owned by the emperor. I can't do anything. Prince Aldrich will eventually be the emperor, and he'll smooth things out, okay? I love their relationship. Valhalla goes hot and cold on Aldrich a ton. That was maybe something that was a little bit more difficult for me in the first part of this book, is that she's like, oh, he said he didn't love me. He said he loved me, but then I saw him do this, and then he's with this person now, and I love him, and I don't love him, and I'm going to try and not be with him, and I'm going to be with him. And it totally feels like young teenage girlish, just I'm all over the place, and my emotions get the better of me, and she is suffering from PTSD from when she was, created a hurricane and killed some people for the first time, and being attacked, and, meeting the emperor and having him be like, I hate you, which this emperor, we're at a tangent here for a second. He feels just like a loser still. I don't like the emperor. I am the emperor. I have to be right. You are a bad person because you protected my son. Wait a minute. So if she hadn't protected your son, you'd have killed her because she didn't protect your son. So she protects your son, does a little bit of damage to some buildings. Some people die, but the prince is still alive. So we're gonna beat her up some more anyway. Okay. You just seem like the emperor of bad decisions. And I don't know how you conquered the whole West and everything beforehand, or think you're going to conquer the North, because your army seems woefully inadequate. They never do any maybe they do training, it's just not shown to us with her, but they never do any training. They march, they kind of party, there's an assassin attack, she comes up with an idea, and then they kind of implement it. And now whether they would implement that with or without her giving that advice to split the royals up, that's up for debate. But he just doesn't seem that smart. Like, this is my Windwalker, the one I want to win me the war. Therefore, I will beat her down and make her hate me. Yes, because clearly everyone wants to win the war for the people they hate. By golly, we've come up with the solution. If we just make our soldiers and our like most valuable tool hate us, clearly, and we beat them and like are mean to them all the time, they will clearly do the best through a fake promise of reward to get what they want at the end. And they'll never think that we'll betray them and not give it to them, because we will betray them and not give it to them, because that's who we are. Like, yeah, I'm not saying you have to put Valhalla on a pedestal as the emperor and be like, the Windwalker, she's so amazing, so cool, like, I'll bow down before her and give her whatever she wants. But like, just treat her decent. And I guess this also falls into the whole royal versus commoner kind of situation, but like, she's a Windwalker, the only Windwalker in the world. She could project, which you're planning on using to win the war. Like, don't you think you want her to feel like a little bit nice towards you and like a little bit of loyalty rather than like hate or disgust? I don't know. That seems like a smart idea to me. Like, maybe if they like you, they'll be more willing to, like, put themselves in danger for you. She goes through a lot for Aldrich, and she really likes him. We're gonna drop the Emperor. But Valhalla, I love the scene where she kind of realizes that she loves Prince Aldrich, and that she's not going to give him up, and that she wants to be with him. And obviously she's still like, but I can never really be with him. I'll just be the side, because he's a royal, and I'm not. And I'm like, a royal is just somebody who took the power to be a royal and then passed it on to their kids. Like, you could be a royal too. Like, he could make you a royal. Like, in fact, by definition, marrying him makes you a royal, because now you're the queen. Like, we don't really care about the senators because they all suck and should die, especially Eggman, who I knew there was something fishy about him, and he was a sorcerer, the head of the Sorcerers Guild before Victor, who brought, Valhalla in. So I'm curious as to what Eggman's deal is still. And okay, now we're going to get into the sad here. Well, first, before we get into the sad, Prince Balder, I do not trust him fully still. Still got a weird relationship. The whole book, he's trying to be like, Valhalla, don't go to him. Valhalla, don't go to him. Like, he's bad. You're not going to like my brother. He's just playing you. And it's like, no, we know how he feels. Like, I know his feelings and I know my feelings, and it's not going to change. And just like, shove off Balder, which I have nicknamed affectionately Bald Hair, even though he's not bald, but it just makes sense in my head. Okay, now we're going to get to the sad spots. Laurel, that was the worst. Like, you stab Laurel in the stomach in the night with assassins. Like, poor Laurel, I love her so much. From her cool fire way to like dry her hair, to like just her being willing to be there for her, for Valhalla and for Aldrich, and be like, I was his only friend, and now she's dead. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, why would you do that? Like, Laurel was basically one of the only things holding Valhalla together for us, making sure everything was really good. So you kill Valhalla, and then in a couple chapters, you decide that it's just cool to pretend to kill Aldrich, because I'm believing that this has to be fake, even though it looks super real and it felt super real at the end. But like, then you try and kill Aldrich, you are in trouble, Elise Kova. This is outrageous. It's crazy. I'm interested to see what's going to happen, but I don't think he's dead, and obviously he can't, well, he could be dead, but I don't think he's dead, and the reason is because they're bonded, and since she's immune to flame, that means he should be immune to fall damage. Now, I never really understood that, like, why would he be immune to fall damage? Just because he's got wind walking, and she does, though, the wind kind of stops her, so I'm thinking it slowed him down, he's just got like a bloody face. But I just looked it up again, and it's very convincing that he's dead, but because there's blood. But I don't, until the next book starts, I'm going to hold off on this. So, Prince Aldrich, you better be okay. But again, just these deaths were just ripping me apart and ripping Valhalla apart. I couldn't stand it. Now, on a somewhat lighter note, let's talk about Daniel from the Golden Guard. Daniel? Just back off. You're not important to this story. I understand what you're doing, and you like her, and you're being nice to her, and I'm appreciative of that. But you just need to back off. She's busy. She's taken. Quit trying to sneaky worm your way in. I can see it. Everybody else can see it. Just you stand right where you are. Okay. The assassins, Alicia, I liked that everybody thought that she was this fiance and, going to be, but then it turns out, oh no, it's just my cousin. And when they actually talk, and then they do talk about it, like it's kind of resolved, and then that they both confess their feelings for each other. That was very nice. Very nice. I really like that. Now, we've talked a lot about characters. Let's talk about some other things. Like the plot is pretty much we're going to march to the north and we're going to get ready to stage our attacks and kind of get in. And that's why I was like, why are they just not even like ready to be attacking stuff? Why are they not being prepared to be attacked if they're invading? Like they should be more ready for this. And of course the Emperor has to be like, oh no, we're going to, mix you up, keep the assassins at bay, but then you have to be in my company because I am a jerk and I couldn't let any good thing happen to my son, because everybody knows to be an emperor you have to be cold and callous and hard. And I'm not saying it doesn't help sometimes to be that way. You definitely don't have to be that way all the time. So, and that's pretty much the whole plot, and that's kind of the atmosphere, is just travel. That's kind of what I feel from the atmosphere of the book, is you get the feeling of traveling, and then they finally get to the crossroads and it's kind of like a half completion. So now this book does have a ton of good writing in it. So many good lines. I like their relationships and the way they're moving forward and the way that the characters talk and interact, and it feels genuine, which is a good sign of writing. I did not like the horribly mean cliffhanger at the end of the book, and it is almost quite literally like a cliffhanger. So the good job on that, but I did not like it. So I was super, I really want to see how Valhalla's and Aldrich's relationship's going to grow, if it can grow. I am really hoping he's alive. And I'm really interested in what crystals do. They increase your power, or they do something to help to change sorcerers. The Windwalkers are immune to it. And why are Windwalkers immune to it? Does that mean that Earth users are, weak to it, or like super weak against it? I am not sure. So I think that's going to be everything I have to talk about Fire Falling by Elise Kova. Thanks everybody for listening. So David Hillowitz for the intro and outro music. You can find me. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to libromancypod@gmail.com. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you want to support the show, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/libromancy, where I post short little videos. I will be posting some short little videos and some other content. And remember to march with the magic of books.